Much more detail with Zeidon Alkinani, who's the non-resident fellow at the Arab Center, Washington, D.C., with a focus on the Middle East and Iraq. He joins us from here in Doha. A very warm welcome to you. So I wonder if I can ask you the question that I put to our correspondent in Tehran before we lost communications with him, and it's to do with a response to what is coming out of the United States, some extremely strong, saber-rattling rhetoric, particularly coming from the Republican Party, regarding how they believe the US should be handling Iran going forward. How do you think Iran might respond to an escalation in this conflict?
Well, first of all, we need to look at the wider picture of this conflict. There is a lot of affiliation to what this attack means to domestic Iraqi politics, or what's the affiliation with the Gaza conflict, when in reality, these attacks are one of many attacks which are conducted by a wider Iranian strategy to pressure the U.S. military presence in Iraq and beyond Iraq across the region. It escalated very heavily following the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the former commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in January 2020. And we noticed a very heavy and significant Iranian political and military campaign to expel the U.S. forces from Iraq and the beyond region. The affiliation with many other conflicts, and trying to analyze this through the angle whether this is a conflict that has just started or a dispute that have just began between the United States and Iran, undermines the previous attacks and the previous events that have been happening for the past almost 4 years. There is a major Iranian campaign and an Iranian plan to expel the U.S. military forces, but not doing so directly, as it usually claims that it does not fully control many of these armed groups which are aligned or affiliated with Iran ideologically or politically, but so in a way where it has one foot in the war and one foot out.
So 1 foot in the war, 1 foot out, not proxies but allies, claims Iran. Nevertheless, the United States, Joe Biden has confirmed that the country will respond to the attack at a time and means that it's yet to be determined. How might the US calibrate a response that doesn't worsen the crisis in the Middle East any further?
Well, the U.S. involvement, or since October, the U.S. political and in one way or another military involvement has been justified by its belief that Israel has the right to self-defend against Gaza or Hamas, when in reality there has been a very clear military aggression being conducted in Gaza years or decades before October 7th. But however, this attack against U.S. forces, which ended up in the assassination of U.S. military personnel, indicates that this is a direct attack against the United States of America, which makes it more comfortable for the Biden administration to justify a direct involvement against Iran or the military groups that are affiliated with Iran in Syria or in Iraq. It will also add a lot of pressure into the Biden administration as we are getting closer to the U.S. elections, and many from the Republican Party would be able to push this as a way to compare it with former President Trump's reaction, which ended up, as we previously mentioned, with the assassination of Iran's most significant regional player, in fact, Iran's military regional engineer.
OK, Zeidon Alkinani, a non-resident fellow at the Arab Center, Washington, D.C., with us here in Doha. Many thanks.